Thank you for tuning in for this, the CRUDE TRUTH Exclusive. President Trump has now been indicted. What's next for the Republican Party? Most importantly, America. We're going to talk about that and much more on this episode of the CRUDE TRUTH.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
This episode of the CRUDE TRUTH is brought to you by Oil and Gas Workers Association, Sandstone Group, Air Compressor Solutions, Basin Fluids, and the Fuel Pros.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this, the CRUDE TRUTH Exclusive. As we all know, not only has President Trump, our former President Trump, now been indicted, but now that's the first time in history that something like this has ever happened to a former president. And if this doesn't have everybody just scratching their head on what's going on in America, then they have a problem, because there's a problem going on in America, and it is our Department of Justice, our Department of Energy, for obvious reasons of the CRUDE TRUTH. But there's just so much going on that's just a problem that I had to do an exclusive. And not only did I have to do an exclusive, but I had to bring in two of the best political strategists on the Republican side. And they've also been former candidates themselves in the Congress and congressional sessions, or not sessions, excuse me, and running for different offices. I brought on today Raven Harrison and Ola Hawatmeh. Ladies, how are y'all?
Doing great.
Doing well.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for coming in. I felt like this needed to be done. I don't talk too much about it, but this needed to be said and done, and it needed to be done. And I got to point this out, the elephant in the room, that not one of us is white that's sitting in this table today.
Well, what's insane?
Well spotted, Ray.
I mean, I got to talk about that. I mean, they talk about how everybody that voted for President Trump was a white, and they're all was white and a racist and uneducated, and that's just I got offended by that.
Well,
and so that was the main reason and one of the key reasons why I wanted you ladies to come on. Oh, and y'all are both ladies.
Well, I'm up here.
Thanks for noticing.
I know, and well, it's just there was so much that's like, oh well, your husband forced you to vote for him the first time around, and that he wasn't getting the votes from suburban moms in the second time around, and it's like there's so many lies that have been said, and now the first president has been indicted.
Well, coming from New York, I mean,
yeah.
So 2 days ago, I had a group of people go down to New York City, and it's crazy. It's like the Civil War. I mean, what they're doing to President Trump is insane.
Right.
And you should see the people that are out there. I mean, there are tons of supporters, but also people holding signs with their children saying things like, finally, there's accountability. This should have happened a long time ago.
Wow.
Forgetting everything great that President Trump has done in America, and dismissing everything or holding accountable Mr. Biden. I refuse to call him President Biden. Mr. Biden, who has destroyed America, what he's done with Afghanistan, what he's done with our troops, what he's done with Americans, period.
Yeah.
He's totally delusional. But then you look at Trump and you look at what he's done. Look at the numbers when he was in office, when he was our president. There isn't one business that wasn't doing great. Economy was wonderful. It was just, it's insane. So now it's just like everyone's attacking him. And it's an attack, not just for President Trump, but I feel like it's an attack on Americans.
It is
on
an
us.
attack on, it's not about as much, it's not just about Donald J. Trump. His rights are our rights. And we have to also look at the context. Alvin Bragg campaigned on communism. He campaigned not to serve the people of New York, not to reduce crime. He campaigned to get Trump.
Yes.
That was his platform.
Yes, it was.
Snyderman did the same thing in terms of the Manhattan DNA. And he's looking for crime. Look out the window. Okay, in any direction in New York, if you're looking for, but he's been downgrading his caseload from felonies to misdemeanors.
Yes.
And now he's searching for a crime and he's going to perp walk. And they're saying this was my favorite. The vodka queen said that nobody is above the law and he should prove he's innocent. That's how it works now. We're guilty until proven innocent. Yeah. Okay, Pelosi, let me go first. Can we prove you're sober? Can we prove AOC is not useless? Can we also prove that Joe Biden is not sniffing kids at this very moment? Is this the country we're living in right now? We don't do that. This is America. Yes. And we'd be happy to book you an alcohol chartered flight to one of these countries that you are allowed to persecute political opponents. But this is going to fall apart. This case was paper thin. And if you're going to perp walk our president, boy, you better keep those handcuffs ready for the big guy and the crack-a-doodle.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, you look at Biden, you look at Clinton, you look at what they've done. Yes. Where's the accountability there?
Thank you.
There was no accountability. And now all of a sudden, they're all fuming and they're saying, no, we have to hold Trump accountable. It's not because of holding him accountable. They dislike President Trump. And anyone that dislikes Trump, they dislike America. I'm sorry, because everyone that's pro-Trump, when you say MAGA, I have a lot of people commenting on things that I post on social media, and they're like, oh, you loser MAGAs. What is MAGA? What does it mean? Make America great again. And what is wrong with that?
There's not a thing wrong with it. And you know what? When he first, that is a genius slogan, okay?
It is.
Why? Because what means make America great again to me is different than what it means to you and to you and to everybody else in America. You can actually resonate with that type of a campaign slogan. I'm with her was Hillary Clinton's in 2016, okay? Not make America great again or, even Obama's change or hope was his, okay? It was I'm with her. What does that do? That doesn't do anything. That's not a call to action on doing things in America. And you're absolutely right. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, was because it is an attack on this man and our whole deal. Because if this man did this thing wrong.
What's this thing? What's this thing?
Exactly.
Well, I want to know what's this thing, because when out in New York City, and we see the people that are against him, and they're saying it's about time. He's done so many things that were wrong. What were they?
Can't name
Give me.
one.
I want a list of one thing that President Trump did that has affected your life in the negative.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but can we get, for the ones who like to come at me with their feelings, I have to give them a big fat bomb. Here it is. Did Stormy Daniels on that day, so this was Tuesday that this happened, did she lose again and now is ordered to pay him $120,000 more in addition to the $300,000 she was ordered to pay for losing the last case against him? Isn't this what this case was predicated upon? Is anybody talking about that?
Nope, they refuse. They will not talk about that. And they won't talk about anything about Biden.
Well, and that's the deal. Right now, we could go off on President Biden and everything that he has going on, but he is president. And so if we're actually going after former presidents, let's focus on what this is. We have now gone after a former president to stop him from running for office again.
That's communism.
That's the crude truth.
That's communism.
That is communism. That is a banana republic.
Completely
So
agree.
It's like, if you're telling me this $180,000 that was paid, then the obvious is, then why are we not going after President Bill Clinton now for what he did with Starlin Jones?
How much did Clinton pay?
Over
$850,000.
And so please tell me what's the difference. There is no difference.
About $700,000 for 200, Alex. So that is, it's always context, and that's what it is. Pelosi talking about accountability. Is this the insider trading queen?
Yeah.
Okay, so accountability is always interesting when it's not you that we're talking about. But at the end of the day, that's the most telling thing I think that the American people need to hear when they say we will stop him. He shouldn't be president. It's not your choice.
Yeah.
Okay, it is we the people decide. And so that's what these politicians have gotten wrong, is that, and now how much money is this going to cost? Another, taxpayer funded, because they say government funded. There is no government funded. Government has no money.
No,
it's taxpayer funded.
That
I'm
is
paying
why,
for this. Do your job.
When we ran for Congress, they don't want us in Congress.
No.
They don't want outsiders in Congress because, it's the truth.
It is.
They don't want people that are actually freedom fighters that are going to fight the fight for the right reason, not for power, not for money, but for the people. And you don't have a lot of people in Congress doing that.
Now, I'm not as much of an insider as you guys are, but when they made a big stink about Congressman Matt Gaetz holding out here back in whenever, and everybody's like, he's being this. It's like, no. There were rules that Pelosi had put in place years ago that Congressman Ryan kept the same. Basically, all these rules, and he, as an outsider, goes, we need to change this back to the way it was so that not just a handful of people decide what what bills go in and out.
And I want to say something about that because I was watching that intently. And this is about the American people. We asked the Republican Party to grow a backbone and stand up and push back. And then when they pushed back, everybody was like, oh, not now,
God bless you.
Or they're traitors. They folded like cheap lawn chairs. So for the ones who were calling those people traitors and everything, this is exactly what we asked them to do. Yeah. We asked them to push back. We asked them to grow a backbone. We asked them to hold the line. Yeah. And that's what they did. So bravo to those 19.
Well, I'm glad, you brought up We the People and the American Backbone. And today I also have Matt Coday here with us. That is boots on the ground. He is the president of the Oil and Gas Workers Association.
Woo!
And I wanted to bring him and also to hear what's going on and what others are saying out there right now, because there's a lot of silence for the media. There's not a lot of people talking.
Everyone's afraid. Even Fox. Yeah. Even Fox, you'll find them kind of, you saw Walker the other day, commenting about Trump. It's very dangerous having him out there in the open. It's like they want him to be murdered, but everyone's walking on eggshells because they're afraid. And the Republican Party, going back to what you said, not only do they not have a backbone, but they are so divided. We have the rhinos, and especially New York, we do not, the Republican Party, we are not one. We do not fight together.
We need to get better about that. But I have a lot of people who say to me, well, a soft Republican is better than a Democrat. How?
No.
Yeah.
How?
Well, let's bring in Matt. Matt, are you there?
I am.
Hey, how are you doing, Matt?
I am great. Ray, Ola, Raven, great to be on with you.
Hey, Matt, and thank you for our heat and lights. Come on now.
Well,
American Oil and Gas Workers, power the nation, fuel the world, and bring the heat.
Power the Patriots.
That's right. You guys are bringing the heat, Matt. And, we asked you to come on today because, as you know, I've got some political strategists here in studio. However, we want to know what's going on out there and what people are saying about this indictment that we had to the former President Trump.
It's very simple. This is just the weaponization of yet another office in this country against American workers and families. This attack from Alvin Bragg's office on President Trump is no different than the weaponization of the EPA, transportation, and other agencies against American oil and gas workers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you're out there and you're talking to everybody, we're not getting we're not hearing a lot from people that are really just pro-America and pro-freedom and, more importantly, pro-Constitution. What are you hearing out there from all the oil and gas workers out there?
One word, and I'm not sure I can say it on a podcast, but this is BS. I heard y'all talking about previous presidents and how this certainly opens up the possibilities of prosecuting previous presidents. I heard y'all talk about Bill Clinton. I specifically want to talk about Barack Obama. He and Joe Biden during their 8-year administration sold out American workers' families nonstop. Do we then go back to Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and former Secretary of Hillary Clinton, who ignored the pleas from Americans in Benghazi for additional security and left them to die at the hands of terrorists? Do we now go back and do we prosecute them for abandoning Americans, just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris abandoned our Marines in Afghanistan during their quote-unquote botched withdrawal?
Come on, Matt.
I completely agree with you. The only president that I see, President Trump always put America first. Obama didn't. Biden certainly didn't.
And they've tried to make that a dirty word. And I just want to go on record of saying, my God, well, you're on it. Is this because I'm not only, with being Native American, I'm not only in America first, I'm a first American.
Amen.
So this is the stewardship of this great land that we should all be appreciative of.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, that was the fact that they've tried to turn this into a dirty word. I have 2 parents who are Air Force colonels, and they bled for this country. And I'm telling you, this is what it is. But Matt, you're speaking the language what we all had. We were thriving when President Trump was here.
Yes.
We had cheap gas. We had, we were exporting. Is that correct? What is the dollars and cents, Matt, to you with, people can talk about their outrage. What does this mean in terms of dollars and cents to where we are now from where we were with President Trump? Didn't he have your back?
He certainly did, and that's why America's oil and gas workers love President Donald J. Trump. A lot of people point back to the Barack Obama and Joe Biden administration and talk about the roaring economy. Now, Obama and Biden were the beneficiaries, not the instigators of the shale revolution in America. And people like Harold Hamm, the CEO of Continental Resources, all of the technology they really advocated and pushed for us to be the energy dominant country that we became during the Obama-Biden administration. Well, left up to Obama and Biden, they wouldn't have had that happen, but they rode our industry to better jobs numbers, an increase in GDP, booming exports, and a roaring economy. But at the end, they caved to radical environmentalists and started to weaponize the federal agencies against our industry, our jobs, our families, and our nation. Now, President Trump from day one talked about putting American workers and families first. And whether we are Republican, Democrat, or independent, America first should not be a controversial subject.
Absolutely. And when Biden became president, the first industry he attacked was your industry.
That's right.
Yes. Was your industry. And that from day one, it was never about America. He put China first. He put everyone first.
Ukraine first.
No one speaks up. As you said, Republicans, we need a backbone. We need to stand up for what's right and speak up.
And we need to, because this is getting expensive. Have any of you guys done your taxes? I think I owe Ukraine money.
Well, every industry, it's not just the oil industry, every industry in America has been affected and hurt. From small business owners to farmers, everyone has been affected with the Biden administration.
Anybody who has to fill up their gas tank, anybody who has to eat, who's been in the grocery store, anybody who is worried about our southern border being wide open and crime spiking everywhere, which makes even what they did to President Trump even more, deplorable.
Well, that's why we can't give up. I mean, I say we have to run again. I mean,
well, we definitely have to keep them, but have to understand that we're not only fighting Democrats, that's a known quantity. We're fighting these soft Republicans who don't want us exposing that you're not doing your job. Nobody wants to hear your speeches. Do your job.
That's one of the problems that's failing America. I trust a Democrat before I trust a rhino. The rhinos, I mean, they're intel. They come to committee meetings. They come to, they join the Republican Party and they sit there and they listen to us and they go and they feed the Democrats. That's how they get their votes. Yeah. I don't trust the rhino. At least the Democrat, we know where they stand.
Yeah.
They stand on the same side as the rhinos.
We know how liberal their minds are, so we know where they stand. The rhinos that have taken over America, that's why we need more Republicans, but we can't. We're conservatives. I will not compromise my values to please anyone.
And that's the important thing that as conservatives, we do need to be a little bit more loud and let people know, hey, we're not here to compromise also.
No.
But
we don't compromise with communism.
No, we don't.
No, absolutely not. We're in America.
Yeah, we're in America for that.
I mean, as a first generation, I do not want to wake up and America is turned into a third world country.
No.
And it's getting there fast. I mean, I was born in Texas, and you should see with our border wide open, we had 9 million, people come across that border, and Biden is wanting us to sing Kumbaya. And I'm telling you, our roads are crumbling, our hospitals are stuffed, our schools are stuffed. We are unsafe.
No.
And then what is Joe Biden's favorite? Well, then we got to grab the guns. Are you talking about the same guns that you're protected when somebody wake Joe Biden up and ask him if these are the same guns he's being protected by?
Well,
Right.
hey, Matt, I tell you this, tell me real quick, what's coming around the corner for you guys there at the Oil and Gas Workers Association real quick before we let you go. And how can they
Well, it
find
happens
you?
to be an event in Houston coming up on the 21st that we're working on. And it's with one of the badass congresswomen who was not afraid to stand up back in January and say, hey, hang on just a minute. We're just not automatically going to line up behind Speaker McCarthy. Two of my favorite people back then were Chip Roy of Texas and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert out of Colorado. So we have an event coming up in Houston on the 21st, Congresswoman Boebert. Also, right now, we're working on some pieces of legislation, both at the federal level and in states. There's one bill right now in Texas that I want everybody to pay attention to, and it's Texas House Bill 2374 that bans gas bans. You see the city of Dallas moved to ban gasoline-powered engines, and we just think of that as a California thing or other misguided state thing.
Right.
It is coming here, like communism seeping into our schools, like the people seeping across our border on a daily basis, and like she said, flooding our schools, our hospitals, our roads, taking up jobs, draining our social services. We need to make sure that we act now and keep Texas Texas and keep America America.
That's
Okay.
right.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on, and I do appreciate it. And you keep up the good fight with the Oil and Gas Workers Association, sir.
Hey, thank y'all for having me on.
Bravo, Matt. Bravo.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
So,
And
okay,
y'all.
guys, here it is. It's been done. The indictment. We're here on a Thursday. This happened on Tuesday. What's next? What's next for America? What's next for the Republican Party and even Donald Trump? What are going to be his next moves? I mean, we saw he had a rally that night.
Well, they will not give up, and we cannot give up.
Okay.
The left is not going to give up until there's a civil war. We cannot give up. We have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I sent a group of friends and different people that I know from upstate New York to the city, and we just have to make our voices heard.
We have to do that. So I would say what's next is people we need a sign. That was it. Okay. So they tried to perp walk. So here's what I know. Donald Trump they just basically handed him the nomination because his donations, everything
$5 million.
$7 million.
Seven
So
now?
as-
Wow.
Seven up to $7 million. But see, this has been the trend. If anybody's paying attention, every time they've attacked him, he's gotten stronger.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out like a boss. If I was Donald Trump, I would be charging for those mugshot selfies, for people to be taking selfies in the White House with them. So Donald Trump, the doors that God opens, no man can close. And I really believe, so that's what they're doing. We are raising up. So what that means, press your legislators, your congressmen. If you haven't been in touch with your congressman to ask what they're doing to support this and fight back against this, that's part of the problem. So we don't need faith without works, guys, is dead. So we need to report to this line. If this was 1776, we'd already have tea in the harbor. We'd be fighting over the Earl Grey Harbor right now. So come on, Patriots.
Our kids don't even know what 1776
They
is.
need to. Then that's on us.
That's another thing. That's another thing. You look at all these shootings, and you look at transgender, you look at what's going on in our schools, and they are neglecting to focus the issue of our kids, what's happening in America today. And they're focusing on Trump.
But if the kids don't see us fight, they're not going to fight. So they need to see us engaged, voting, supporting, donating, calling, blowing up the phones. Because what did we had everybody do? It was a mad tweet fest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is horrible. Okay. We know it's horrible. What are you going to do about it?
Yep.
Get busy.
Absolutely.
And that's
Stop
what you
complaining
need to-
and get up and get
and do
moving.
something. And if you can't be on the front line, support those of us who are.
Yeah. Well, Ola, you brought up a great point, or you made a comment a little while ago that said they don't want us to run again. And can we expand on that? Because here we are as all Republicans, and for people out there that don't understand, there is a difference and a split, unfortunately, or divide, I should say, in the Republican Party. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I'm considered an outsider.
Right.
I appreciate and I love the freedom I have. I do not work for the party.
Okay.
I work for the people.
Come on.
And they want candidates that work for the party. backroom deals, pay for play. These things exist in America. And I'm not a part of it. And neither is my sister here. We are not a part of that. I mean, we are doing this for the people, putting in our own money, working 7 days a week, out there on the streets, grassroots campaigning. And it's like, no, they want villains. They want people that are going to be machines, that are actually going to not make change.
And that's what they want. And I tell people all the time, it's impossible to heal in the same environment that made you sick. We need term limits. We've got to get these people out.
Absolutely.
But I'm telling you that this is what it is. And they like to use the word leadership. They scare people because if they can scare you, they can control you. So they like to say, okay, but we need leadership. And I tell people the Titanic had experienced leadership too. Okay. So what we have to remember is we need real people who are going to get the job done. Stop listening to they've been there for decades. If they haven't done it in decades, they're not going to do it now.
And who's holding them accountable?
None.
No one's holding them accountable.
We are.
And we're making noise. And people, that's why,
well, it's noise, but there has to be smart, sophisticated action.
Creating coalitions
in the sentence.
Well, that's the thing. Creating coalitions throughout America. I'm working with different candidates throughout America. And doing grassroots and motivating them. We need to motivate the people, but creating different coalitions throughout America and speaking up. If you are a parent, you should be concerned. What's happening in our schools? If you're a first generation, you look at the freedom that we have in America.
That's right.
Appreciate that. Don't take that for granted.
Or you're just going to be describing it to your kids.
Absolutely.
And both my parents are Air Force colonels. I don't want to tell you what not turning your homework looked like in my house, but
if you're
I'm
a veteran
telling you,
or a small business owner,
they fought.
Everyone
for
needs to be from.
So whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, I think it's important. I am fighting for your right to disagree with me. That you have that freedom to decide how you want to do you.
That that is the crude truth, is that we have the right to argue about these things in America, Republican versus Democrat, and have a good argument and then come up with a way to come in the middle. And for whatever reasons, that has just gone out the window.
It's gone out the window because they look at us as immediately, you guys are Democrats. Why? Because what? Because we're a minority?
Yeah. I know.
They create division. We're conservatives. We want peace. We want to unite, but we will not compromise, and we cannot compromise. And it's. That's what our kids. That's what they're feeding our kids.
Yeah.
I posted something about. I'm going to bring it up. The masks.
Okay.
And someone's like, "Oh, you're still worried about these losers?" Okay, when you take your kids to a grocery store and they see someone wearing a mask, does that not instill fear or question or doubt? It's not normal.
It's not normal. Yeah, it's definitely not normal.
Especially after the facts that came out after Fauci. That's let's not open up that.
Well, but even before
and the
Fauci,
vaccines
I wasn't doing
and everything else.
Yeah.
This is America.
Can you imagine if President Trump was president and what happened with the vaccines?
No, then we would have already had him arrested. I'm surprised he hasn't. I'm pretty sure he's cut the mattress tag off at least once. This has gotten. This is insane.
You're absolutely. I hadn't really thought about that if he was president right now, what would be going on? But the whole sense of what's going on right now, and again, it's unheard of. I was at a conference the other day, and in the oil and gas industry, and we were talking about if China actually becomes a good partner with Saudi Arabia, and the answer there was, "Oh, that won't happen."
It already has.
I said, well, y'all had mentioned the fact that we had a worldwide shutdown for 3 months. And, by the way, Russia invaded a country that was unprovoked. Those are two things that we had never, ever thought would happen, that a war would start just because another country, literally goes, I'm taking
I
you.
did.
True.
And
I did.
But then the fact that we were shut down for 3 months alone as a world, and it's like, President Trump was president, for goodness sakes. Okay. Everything, it's off the table. Everything is on the table now is what I'm saying. Who knows what's going to happen next? And the fact that he has now been indicted, it really opens up a dangerous can for the future on this type of stuff to even continue, because what he's being indicted for, good, bad, or indifferent, comparatively speaking, is so and I don't mean, I got to say, it's so irrelevant. So,
extremely relevant, especially what's
Yes.
going on in America today.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at a breaking
and so
point
it's like,
right
so
now.
this is what y'all are going after when, there's so many conspiracy theories out there on all the other former administrations
Correct.
and what they got away with.
That-
So this is going to be the accountability that the man paid $120,000,
And that he has to go
$180,000?
7 years in the past to find a crime in New York.
Yes, that's the other
Now,
thing.
you remember the
Yes.
recession with Obama.
Yes.
And then who got us out? I mean, look at what Trump did. And then Biden.
Yeah.
Right now, our economy is we're in bad shape.
No, we are-
America's
we
in
are.
the worst shape ever.
We're
Yeah.
not
And now
in a
they're
good spot.
focusing on Trump, on President Trump because of personal issues.
It's a distraction, y'all.
It's a huge distraction
huge
because you
distraction.
look at what's going on with Afghanistan and what Biden's doing behind the scenes with China. I mean, let's focus on that because that's affecting America.
Okay.
And isn't
yeah.
Joe Biden under criminal investigation
Yes.
right now?
Yes.
Is anybody talking about
Nobody's
that
talking about
Mueller?
it.
This is
Nope.
what and Hunter, remember, I'm old enough to remember when they said Biden's Hunter's laptop was misinformation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and see, that's the problem. And unfortunately, we can't do it today. But those are the things that we should be focused on. China, the petrodollar is going, in my industry, in Matt
Yes.
Cody's industry, that's a whole thing. The investigation that President Biden is under. But yet, this is the distraction that the world has. And that's a
No,
darn
this
shame.
is the distraction the left has. And I always say
Excuse
justice
me. Yes,
dies
you are
in the
right.
dark. And so I carry a big floodlight.
Yes.
So we're going to keep talking about it and keep it in the,
In the forefront.
that's right. We got to do that. So like I said, wake Joe Biden up. You're under investigation, pal.
Well, Ola, again, thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
in. What do you got going on here in the near future? And also, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can go on my American One. I have
Yes.
my podcast.
Yes.
The Ola Hawatmeh Show on American One, and I'm. I guess they have me running for supervisor in New York, endorsed by the conservatives and the Republicans. Today they're telling me that the acceptance letter is due and everything else. So it's just like I've been campaigning literally, and I always say, win or lose, you never give up. When
No.
I won on primary night and then I lost due to mail-in ballots, I still went out there passing out PPE throughout the district.
Yeah.
I still did Zoom calls. It was during COVID. You don't give up.
No.
So you can't turn your back on the issues if you have that fire in you.
That's
No.
right.
Well, thank you. And Raven, you have a book getting ready to come out. Raven's
I have a
Mantle.
book that's out on pre-sale right now.
Pre-sale, Fighting the Betrayal of America, Raven's Mantle by Raven Harrison. Raven Harrison, what else you got coming around the corner?
Well, the book is coming out. It's due to be out around, I think, just after Memorial Day, possibly 4th of July. But we're going to talk about it. My parents were in the Pentagon 9/11. We're going to talk about the Cold War. I'm going to give you some raw. It's coming. But we've got that. I've got the podcast, Raven's Radar, and I've got various speaking engagements as Raven, the conservative warrior. So
Yes.
you can find me on social media or ravenharrison.com if anybody's looking for me. But we're going to be busy. I mean, nobody said, God didn't say all things were easy. He said all things were possible. But we're going to be zigzagging, getting the word out there, fighting for conservatives.
Oh, man. Amen. Well, ladies, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on to the Crude Truth for this exclusive to talk about what's going on right now in America. And to all the listeners out there, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a nice positive 5-star comments only, of course. But if you have any questions also, please send them in. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time on the Crude Truth.
This episode of The Crude Truth is brought to you by Oil and Gas Workers Association, Sandstone Group, Air Compressor Solutions, Basin Fluids and the Fuel Pros, and Real News Communication Network.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.